Welcome to Off the Cut, a podcast where we talk about building, making,
and answering all of your questions.
I'm Eric from Spenceley Design Co.
And I'm Zach from Zach Builds. If you have a question that you would like us to answer on air, you can send it to offthecutpodcast@gmail.com.
You can find both of us on YouTube, Instagram, and unfortunately, because we have to keep up with the kids, you can find us on TikTok too.
All right, now let's get into the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Off the Cut episode 70. We're up in Toronto. Today is known as Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. But here in Ohio, today is respectfully dedicated to the food of the day. This can't even be real. Koigan Aman. But before we get to that, you probably couldn't tell from my intro that we've got yet another guest gracing us with their presence tonight. John Malecki tried to ride the coattails of one of his videos without success. He's got luscious locks, devilishly good looks, and a keen eye for upsetting people with dollar amounts in his YouTube thumbnails. He isn't bringing Backstreet back anytime soon, but he does bring pallet wood back from time to time. Welcome to our mediocre podcast, Morley Kert.
Wow, thank you for that intro. That was awesome.
I try. It was lunchtime today, and I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't written an intro. Because I gotta put some notes down, or else I'm just gonna kind of stumble over my words, not have a good train going. But I do.
Did you write that out word for word, or was that just a couple Okay. I just wanted to be sure, because that's how I would do it personally. If I tried to freestyle it, I think I would just stumble all over it. So you did a good job.
Hey, I try to do what I can. So, Morley, for anybody who doesn't know, tell people about yourself. Tell people what you do, where you're at, stuff like that.
Yeah. My name is Morley. I grew up in America in New Hampshire, but I've been living in Canada for the last 8 years now. I came up here for school and met a girl, and so I stayed. I used to live in Toronto, actually, coincidentally down the street from Zach. So I used to do a podcast called Clamp, and when Zach came on it, we were recording and we realized that we both heard the same siren. And we said, wait a second, where do you live? It was a block apart. But now I live a bit north of Toronto in this lovely town called Aurelia. And I do, on my channel these days, usually woodworking and 3D printing. So as many people know, I build some stuff out of pallets and sell it. And I've been doing this series of free 3D printed repairs, which is really fun. I've usually worked out of really small spaces with limited tools. And I think that's a definite theme in my videos, trying to do what I can with what I have. I study engineering as well. And so I think that might rub off a little in the content. Although I feel like my early videos were super overly academic and boring. And I've really tried to bring it down since then.
Right. You've come across the realization that was hard, that 90 some odd % of people who watch your videos have no ambition to ever even attempt any of the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I try to not use any technical language. The moment I feel like I'm assuming that the people watching know some term that I'm talking about, I'm like, no, I need to say what that is, or say it in a simpler way.
Right.
Oh, interesting. Because I have this philosophy now where I used to do a lot of that, where I'd try and explain things out. But lately I've been I'm just going to assume my audience is as smart as I am, and I'm just going to use the technical term and move on with my life. So, because it makes the video that much faster. You're not a miter saw is the saw that goes like this,
Zip, zip.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah, I try not to get too overly explainy, but I used to talk about structural engineering concepts in my videos, which I don't do anymore.
Right? Yeah, I got you. Okay, there's a balance to be struck. You can't go too hard one way and too hard the other way, I think, and that's that's half the dance of being a YouTuber.
You're always gonna have the audience though. Somebody is I really want you to go into structural engineering stuff, and then you have another group of your audience that's just you should have made that bright green or bright pink. I want to see fun colors and fun music, and that's what I want to see. And it's just I kind of got to cater to both, I guess.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in that. But I saw one of the most inspirational things I saw recently was a clip of Rick Rubin, and what he basically said was, when you're making something, you have to not care about the audience, because what the audience wants is for you to make something great. And if you're thinking about what the audience wants, then you're not going to make that great thing. And I think it's really hard to do that with making YouTube videos, because there's so much like data science that we do, and just like, oh, got to make like this part catchy. And, you know, there's all these like mores and things, but there's that in every art, right? You know, like making a song, there's going to be choruses, there's going to be a verse. If someone's making a movie, there's going to be like a 3-act structure. But sometimes I find myself, if I'm getting too caught up in like, oh, is someone going to enjoy this part? Are they getting bored? Kind of like turning off that part of my brain tends to make the videos a lot better, and allows me to be like grow a little more creatively if I think a little bit less about what the audience wants.
Yeah, I got you. I was having a conversation with Jason Grissom, who's a patron and also a creator, and he was saying, you know, I did this poll of my audience about, you know, what type of videos do they want? Do they want shop projects? Do they want furniture builds?
Oh yeah, I will never do one of those polls. I see people do it, and I'm like, I'm never doing that.
And then you get 30 people of like 100 and some thousand that respond.
And people don't know what they want, honestly.
Well, that's the thing I said to him. He was like, I did the poll, and then I did exactly what they said, and then I didn't get any views on it. And I was like, well, half of the time your job as the creator is to give the audience something they didn't even know they wanted.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, you have to make a video that's so enticing that they're like, oh, I got to find out about this thing, right? So, yeah.
I think there's also that struggle of, I mean, I'm guilty of it. Like you're thinking, what video can I make that will go viral? Yeah. And then that video ends up being like your crappiest video. And then one that you're just like, oh, this seems like kind of fun to like make, or like, here's an idea I want to explore. You put it out and you're like, it's probably not going to do very well, but I'm going to have a blast. Like, those videos go to the moon.
Yeah.
Because I think the audience can see your excitement and passion behind it, as opposed to just, you know, mailing it in, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I have unrealistically high expectations for all of my videos, which is one of my biggest problems.
Right.
You know, I make them like, this is gonna be a 1 million view video. I know it. This is the best video I've ever made.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Morley, but you were like, that one video that you did with the, you know, the $500 pallet table. That one just like went to the moon. Like, I remember seeing it when the first day it came out. I was like, oh, like, I don't even think at that point I knew you had a YouTube channel.
That was the first video of yours I'd seen.
And it just popped up in my feed, and I watched it. It was great. I watched the whole way through. I was like, oh, it's so nice to see, like, you know, somebody just organically pop up in your feed, because I don't even watch that many woodworking videos on my personal accounts. And then I checked back the day later, and it was like, oh, 200,000 views. And then I checked back a week later, and I was like, oh, 1 million views. And it just went ballistic.
Yeah. That was the second video I had that went ballistic. The first one was, I bought a old punch clock on Facebook Marketplace, and I fixed it with 3D printing. Like, I called the company that made it to see if they could help me fix it, but they offered to sell me a replacement part for $100. And then I said, well, I think I can figure out what's wrong here. So I took it apart, found the little gear that was missing, and 3D printed it. And I titled that video, they wanted $100. I 3D printed it for 9 cents. And I had never done a title like that before.
Right.
But yeah, that was so. In that case, when I made that, I was like, this is something different. I think this is going to like really pop off. And it did. And honestly, I felt that similarly with that first palette video. I found that palette on the side of the road. I was like messaging some friends, like never had done any palette woodworking before, and was like, oh, like, do you know like what species of wood this is? And then I think as I was taking it home, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to try to turn this into the most expensive thing that I could? Like, that would be a fun challenge.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just like, no, you know, when you have an idea that does really well, no one tells you that it's going to do really well in the moment, even if you tell other people about it. That's why I also think it's really important to like not share your early ideas with too many people, not because they'll steal your ideas, because they just might not be excited about them in the same way as you are, and it might discourage you. So like I've done a lot of work to like curate groups of people that I'm like comfortable sharing ideas with, and I know will like be supportive and won't just be like, oh, that's dumb, or like, you shouldn't do that, you should do this.
Right.
And they might, like, it's also a group that like, well, we take constructive criticism, but like everyone's, creating stuff. And so they all know how vulnerable you can be in the early stages of a project.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard. I find like I will never take my YouTube ideas to my like personal friend group, because I mean, and to their credit, they're just two nice people. So anything I say to them, they'll be like, "Oh, that's an amazing idea! Like, you should totally do that, man." And it's like, sometimes you need a little bit of somebody to kick your ass a little bit. But then, like I told Eric not to make that video about losing half of his business, and that sent his channel to the moon. So yeah,
Zach, literally, I was like, hey dude, like I lost my Instagram account because I got screwed. I think I'm gonna just make like a video just kind of recapping it so like everyone knows like what's going on. And he's like, dude, no, don't do that. Do like maybe like in the middle of a video, do like a 2-minute thing about it and then like move on with the next thing.
Zach, why did you think it was a bad idea?
Because it wasn't in keeping with the rest of his content, I guess. He's kind of got this like woodworking channel, building things, and then to do just a video talking about like kind of Instagram screwing him over seemed, I don't know. To me, it was out of place. Like I think what I said to you at the time was, you should, like, that's kind of like a second channel type of video where you make like a second channel to talk about your kind of like personal life and your life as a creator and stuff. But yeah.
I got some interesting feedback on it. People are like, "Oh my gosh, it's cool to see like, people see folks that have a YouTube channel and just feel like they're like a very invulnerable, celebrity." I hate saying something like that, but like somebody who's like not affected by the trials and tribulations of day-to-day life, when just some random event like that can occur. And like, I'm just like you, like I could get in a car accident, somebody could break into my house, like I could get my identity stolen. Like, we're all the same people out there. So I think that might have resonated with people, and they wanted to know like, well, what happened? Like, and because it's something people want to avoid for themselves too, right?
That too.
And it's a pretty like hot topic as well, like identity theft on the rise.
Right.
Everyone has social media accounts that they're worried are going to get stolen. But I guess like it's not like the title or the thumbnail of the video gave that away, right? It like the title was just like, I losing half my business.
Right.
You didn't know about that until you got into the video.
Yeah.
Like starting out like that was like I think that was the first thumbnail ever done that was like a YouTube face or whatever, right? Where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so shocked or whatever. And
was that one of your first videos that you ever did where you just also had like no context about what was in the video, really?
I literally like the thumbnail?
Yeah, well, like the thumbnail and like, saying I lost half my business. It's not, I mean, I guess that's pretty descriptive. It's not like, it's not super obscure.
No, but that was my first video where I walked into the garage. I just pressed record. I had no notes. I just started talking.
Yeah.
And like I ended up being in the garage for like an hour and a half. And then, after like pausing it, like stumbling over your words a little bit, it ended up being like a 20-25 minute long video. And I was like, man, I wish I could always make these kinds of videos and they perform well. My life would be so much easier.
Yeah, no kidding.
But so Morley, what kind of got you into like, why did you start a YouTube channel? Was it like you saw other people and doing it? Was it like a creative outlet? Because you said you did engineering. Was it one of these things of just like, I want extra money? And then you're like, oh my gosh, it's not just instantly cash dump trucks showing up at your doorstep.
So I'm 26 years old. And when I was like 12 or 13 years old, YouTube was huge. It was getting huge.
Right.
So that was like Smosh, Freddie W, Corridor Digital. I don't know if any of those channels ring bells, but it was, I feel like YouTube was really on the up and up. And I think I started my first YouTube channel when I was like 13 or 12 or 13 years old.
Okay.
Literally like the worst silliest videos, just like making with friends. But like from a pretty young age, like I was like, this is cool. I like this. I want to be a part of it. And then I got into parkour when I was in high school, which is like, you know, jumping off buildings and doing flipping things. Yeah. And I had a parkour YouTube channel. And then I got into engineering and was really into track and field. And so like that was most of my time when I was in university. And I think just kind of being away from access to my dad's basement at home, I kind of craved making stuff in the same way I did as a kid. Like I used to build forts in the woods with friends and, you know, try to like carve a boat with a chisel in a metal vise, just like janky things that we all do as kids. And I think studying engineering made me feel like a little empowered that I kind of knew how things worked. And I was like, ooh, I want to like just start making some stuff because I wasn't getting that experience in the classroom. And when I was living in an apartment with 3 other people in Montreal, I just started buying some used tools and borrowing tools and woodworking on the floor of my apartment. I was watching a lot of like Ben Ueda, Homemade Modern at the time. And so he was very inspirational because at that year, like 2016 or 2017, he was doing a lot of like woodworking on the floor of his apartment in Boston. And I like pretty much, you know, recreated a lot of the setups he did and cutting on 2x4s in the ground. And yeah, I started getting exposed to like the online maker community. I started watching like Laura Kampf, and I learned about Jimmy DiResta through Nick Offerman's book. Yeah. And then I just one day decided to like make my first YouTube video. I actually had started a blog before that because I was doing this like academic research position one summer and I had a lot of spare time. And I was like, oh, I have these like interesting things I want to write about. And then that kind of, I was like, oh, video is more fun and interesting. So I started doing that. And pretty soon after like making my first video, I made a second and a third. And I just realized quickly that like I really liked doing it. And it was quickly became like the major hobby in my life. So yeah, through like the second half of school, I got into leatherworking as well. And I kept doing like woodworking in other apartments in Montreal. And I went to work in an engineering job for 3 months after graduating. And after, well, I just talked over myself. I worked after graduating, I went to work at an engineering firm. And within 3 months of working there, I was like, I hate this. I want something that's like creative and hands-on and not sitting in a cubicle in Markham, Ontario. So I quit and I took like a couple years to try some different things. I worked in a scenery shop briefly. And throughout it all, I was like still making YouTube videos. But I, like in answer to your previous question, I wasn't like, I'm going to get rich making YouTube videos. I think, you know, obviously I always knew about like YouTuber celebrities as like a, you know, pinnacle. That is what is possible. But I don't really think I allowed myself to like dream that dream. But after a few years, like 2 years or so of trying different things, throughout all that time, getting more and more serious about making videos, at a certain point, I was like this, if I really want to do this, I need to like commit the time and just like go for it. And I, you know, no kids, very low expenses. At the time I was working for a STEM camp. So I thought I wanted to become a teacher. I started working for the STEM camp, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. And by the end of that summer, I was like, I don't think I want to be a teacher. That was kind of what made me be like, I think I know what my path is, and it's not being a teacher. So within a few months of leaving that job, my contingency plan was like, if I don't make money, I'll start bartending. You know, for the years before that, I was making money by doing Uber Eats in Toronto, which was actually really fun during the pandemic because it like got me outside. I was on my bike. So I was like bicycling around Toronto,
no cars,
seeing the city a lot. Yeah. It was like, basically I'd spend the days like in my apartment, making YouTube videos. And then the evenings biking around Toronto, listening to like podcasts and music. At a certain point, it became a little like, okay, I want something a little more aspirational, but for a while it was like a nice little balance. But yeah, within like 3-4 months of leaving that job and focusing full time on YouTube, that punch clock video took off, which, you know, there was monetary benefits, but even more than that, it really just like lit a fire under me of, okay, I found something that works. And it's also a type of video that I really enjoy making. So it was a really nice match. And yeah, actually, I mean, I tried a bunch of things during that time. I also like leading up to that, I was making like 2 videos a week. And it was really good in the time because I learned a lot really quickly. Like I learned I just like learned how my videos could be more interesting and how I could make them faster. I did like a 5 videos in 5-day challenge with the hope that I could like do it for longer. But after like during that 5 days, my now fiance, who was my girlfriend at the time, like she just did all of the domestic work. Like I didn't cook, I didn't clean. So it's like, I can't do this. Like there was a reason why artists in the 1800s had maids and cooks and things. It's because if you have someone do all the domestic work, you can be super productive. But you know, that's not our relationship. And I didn't want that to be a relationship.
What does when you're doing 5 videos in 5 days, what does that day look like? Do you wake up, say, 8 a.m., camera flips on, record till what, like 4 p.m., and then start editing after that?
So at the time, I was doing a bunch of 3D printing projects, and I had done like a lot before then. So I had it into a pretty good flow. So no, I wasn't vlogging. I would usually get an idea in the shower the night before and then be like, okay, that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Then I would wake up and I would start filming. So 5 really isn't that much because I already had, like the first one was, I am going to do this. This is why I'm doing this. So that one was kind of a vlog. And then 2, 3, 4, and 5 were project videos. So I really only had to come up with 4 projects. But yeah, making them by like day 3 or 4, I was pretty zonked. It was fun though. I mean, it was like summer camp. You're just like, that was my whole day. And then I would go to bed like really fulfilled, knowing that it would go up the next day. But yeah, that's cool. as fun as it seems to like do the Casey Neistat thing of daily vlogging. I just don't know if I could ever really do that. I'm happy with the pace I'm doing now.
That doesn't seem fun to me.
Like, I mean, I told Zach and I've told this story. I started my YouTube channel. I put out 1 video and then I was like, okay, I waited like 2 or 3 months. And then I put out 1 project, like full, like woodworking project video every single week for over a year, while I was still working a day job and coaching hockey and playing hockey and in a relationship. It was the worst thing I had ever done. Like, it was so much freaking work. And I'm like, I'm so glad I don't do that anymore.
But like Morley said, you probably learned a lot in that time period about video production, I bet. So,
every video I put out, I was like, okay, well, I don't like this. I want to change this on my next video. Oh, the audio's not great. I need to learn how to like, do some compression. Oh, okay, the color's a little off. I need to make sure that I like, check this in every video now. And like, you just slowly build up this small checklist, and it's a good way to learn how to do it. I'm definitely not saying it's the most efficient way though.
Yeah.
But it'll work. It's kind of like trial by fire if you do that method.
Yeah, totally.
So, Morley, I always like to ask people this question, especially people that are on YouTube. Can you guess how many videos you put out before you didn't lose money?
That's interesting. Well, I mean, when I got
68.
Oh, that was your guess, or that's the reality?
No. That was for me. It took me 68 videos to not lose money.
Okay, so there's a couple things here. Number one, when I first got monetized on YouTube, I was making like $1 to $5 per day for a while.
Right.
And then that like, no, I don't even know if it ever really increased much beyond that after. I don't know. I haven't really thought about those days in a little while, but I also was like making money through things kind of ancillary to the video. So I was doing some like commissioned leatherworking. So when I was doing that, I was making a lot more money through that than I was through the videos.
Right.
But in terms of when the videos actually started making money, I mean, it would have had to been in like the spring of last year.
Okay.
So you would have had a pretty well-established YouTube channel. You had a large handful of videos up before you actually made some reasonable money.
Yeah. And I'm kind of grateful for that. Like I'm grateful that for a while I was making videos without an expectation of success.
Right.
And that like, I mean, and that I was doing it kind of like naively and had some time to learn without a lot of pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
But I always like to ask that question because I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, but he just got lucky. Like he started a channel and boom, first video he put out, he was instantly monetized, was making, 5, 10, 15, 20K a month on AdSense plus Squarespace ads and affiliate commissions. And it's like, no, like it takes a long, long time to build up a channel to even get to the point where you get monetized. And then, like Morley said, you're making like $3 a day, which is irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
That's why like I get a little like nervous when people talk about like, oh, I'm like so close to getting monetized. And I'm hoping that they aren't getting their expectations too high of like making a lot of money. I mean, I can only speak to my own experience. For me, monetized on YouTube at first was exciting, but I wasn't making much money. But if your videos are getting tons of views, you could make a good living from that. It just depends on your channel.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I went probably pretty close to full year before I cracked monetization on my channel. But then when I did, I always kind of chalk this up to like YouTube trying to do something to like support new creators or something in the algorithm, because I had like a couple good months. It basically is almost as soon as I was monetized, where I wasn't making crazy money, but I made like $1,500 or something like that. So
way better than I did.
And it was like that was like a great incentive. I was like, oh, okay, so there's actually something here once you get past that monetization hurdle. But I totally hear what you're saying, Eric, and that it's if you think, or Morley, that like if you think as soon as you cross that monetization threshold, you're just going to be raking it in. It's not necessarily the case.
No. I was like, when I first got monetized, I don't think I broke $100 for the first several months after I got monetized. And then you also have to consider you got to pay taxes on that stuff too. So it's like you're coming home with like $40 or $50 after paying taxes those first couple months when you get monetized. So it's always reassuring to hear other creators. And you've got what, like 250,000 subs, somewhere around there, 275.
Yeah, in that ballpark.
So like he's got a very large channel in the maker community. Morley also struggled like all of us at the beginning. Like it takes a while to get a channel moving. And I like to reiterate that to people, because I think a lot of people just think you just upload a video and then money starts raining in. That's not how it works.
If it does for you, great job. You got something special.
Yeah, you need to teach us if that's how it works for you. But
we should ask John from Lincoln Street that question.
Oh, we should have.
He must have cracked monetization pretty damn quickly, right? Mm-hmm. And he probably started making money from it pretty damn quickly too.
Yeah, but I know we talked to him and he said one of the issues was he was like, yeah, people don't want to see ads on YouTube. So he was like, I didn't have ads on my YouTube videos for several months. He's like, I lost thousands and thousands of dollars by not doing that. Everyone's used to ads on YouTube now. Like,
it's so funny because I have YouTube Premium or whatever the one you pay $10 a month for. So I don't even it doesn't even enter my consciousness. I should maybe actually create an account that doesn't have that, so I get more of an appreciation for what the audience has to go through.
Yeah, you're losing touch.
Yeah. I'm up here in my ivory tower.
Look at you, YouTube Premium user, $10.99 a month. Money bags over here.
So since we're already in the YouTube weeds, I had something I wanted to ask you guys, and it's about titles. So I have this I'm in this sort of conundrum now where with the palette videos, and I would say more generally the trash to treasure videos I've made, they all follow like the same title template, which is turning a blank into a blank, which works very well for me. And, when a lot of people talk about branding, they're like, recognizability is really important. It doesn't need to be super unique. If people know what they're getting, like you look at some of the top channels, a lot of their thumbnails and titles are pretty similar. But part of me wonders if that can only go so far. And I've noticed, especially with you, Eric, you've definitely found a certain title theme that you're and I noticed that you even titled 2 videos the same thing, which I was very impressed of the boldness of that. So how has that experience been?
So how I came up with that is I put like an incognito tab on. So for anybody who doesn't know what that is, basically is like you open up, think of you, the internet is going to think of you as a brand new user. I didn't log in. I went to YouTube and I looked at like the first several videos that just popped up for any brand new YouTube user. I got like a makeup thing. I got like a Mr. Beast thing. And then I got one of those like third world country things where they have a couple guys with just, bare feet and hands, and they're like building an entire city or something crazy like that. What I had noticed is that everything that came up was a very plain thumbnail. And then
I noticed the same thing.
Yes. Then the titles were sufficiently vague, but kind of intriguing of like, well, I didn't get all of the information that I wanted by looking at your title and thumbnail. I want to know more. So then I started kind of playing off of that of, okay, I'm going to, build a nightstand. Well, I don't want to show people the nightstand because then they're not going to be intrigued. I want to kind of hint at the fact that I'm building something, but I don't want you to know what it is, so that the only way that you can know what it is if you click on it. And then so that's where I kind of started these like super tight in shots and then some sort of vague title. And it has worked super well. But I also have noticed a trend that some of the videos that were doing phenomenally now aren't doing quite as well. And some of my videos that had a more literal title, like, this is a terrible example, but like how to build cornhole boards or something like that, those are actually starting to trend upward a little bit now.
Yeah.
So I think there's like a cyclical title thumbnail thing that you're never going to have one specific template that will work this year, next year, and the year beyond. You constantly have to adjust and change and just see what resonates for the audience.
Yeah.
But to be like, I've been very open about this. I hate my titles and thumbnails that work well. Like I don't understand why people do this. That's the dumbest title in the world. But when you get like 1 million views on a video, you're like, okay, well, something's working. People are clicking on this and watching a boatload of the video. So is it a bad title? I think visually it's bad, but it's working for the business. And yes, it drives me nuts that works.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say, I think visually your tight in shots are actually they're usually quite nice looking and like very simple and clean. And like, it's it's
different though.
Yes, it is very different. I've seen a few creators go for that really like tight in shot look, but it's usually tight in on finished products.
Yeah.
So it's
mine's always a work in progress. So maybe me cutting something or like, I also try not to show my face because me personally, and I know a lot of people have tons of success when they show their face. I do like A/B tests. Every single time I put my face in a thumbnail, it does horrible. It's probably just because of the way I look.
Morley, you're big on having your face in the it's like usually you in front of the completed project, right?
Yeah, well, not really completed anymore. I mean, the first time I really found success through doing that was the punch clock videos. So that was like me holding this little red object. And after that, I was like, great. I mean, I see this a lot on YouTube. I think it makes it engaging. And that most of mine tend to have my face in them.
I think
I don't know. It's funny you talk about like not liking your titles and thumbnails because I actually feel like I look at my channel and I have zero opinion on it. I'm just so close to it that I'm like, it is me. I don't know.
Right.
My life.
Right.
Yeah.
But yours are very like the color is good. It's not like over. Some people oversaturate things or like they blow it out or the colors are way too overexposed or underexposed. Yours are visually appealing. And then when you do have text, it is a very clear to read, but it's not like, oh my God, like some people put like lime green text on something and you're like, that doesn't look natural. It looks cheap if you like do something like that sometimes.
Right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, they look nice. I like them. But this is also the perfect example of what works for you may not work for me, and what works for me may not work for Zach. Like, there's so many different things you can do. And, you know.
I mean, I think a great example of that is when John Malecki basically took your thumbnail and your video format and just recreated it. And it didn't do nearly as well as your version of it, right? So
I will say that was a very fun thing to wake up to.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't even like text you about it?
Nope.
Oh, shit. Oh, damn. I saw it and I was like, oh man, that's kind of risque. Like that's, some people might consider that a dick move. And then I talked to I think it was Eric that I talked to about it. He's like, oh yeah. John asked him beforehand if he could do that.
Wait, this Eric?
Wait, me?
Yeah, this Eric.
I
think it was you, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was Scott Walsh or something. I don't know.
I mean, I could have just been, I probably was just coldly bold-faced lying to you if I said that. No, I don't know, but I do have to say I'm glad that John gave you a boatload of credit in the video. Like he pointed you out like a million times in the video.
Yeah,
it wasn't just like some random dude.
It also
maybe that's what it was.
Brought a lot of eyes to my channel as well. Like I saw it in the analytics. Like after that video went up, it was like a few days of many more views and subscribers.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
And at the end of the day, like, YouTube is a business. Like John was smart enough to notice a huge trend. He was like, I'm going to try to attempt that trend and see if it works for me. Like, I don't blame somebody for doing that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
No, not at all. I mean, that's a big part of being what a YouTuber is. It's just being out there, seeing what the current trends are, what's working, what isn't. So, yeah, I get it.
Speaking of trends, I want to know, and it doesn't even have to be in the woodworking space. What like trend on YouTube, social media, or whatever, or like a series or topics or whatever, have you been really interested in like recently? I got one I know I like.
You go first because I got to think.
Yeah, get us going.
Okay. So, Dave Picciuto has a channel called Make Something, and he always makes all kinds of crazy things. Hence the channel name. But one of the series he's been doing recently is the series of I bought every ad on Facebook. So, like we've all been on like Instagram or whatever, and like you get an ad for some just absolute BS trash product. He buys all of them and then like opens and unboxes them and tries to use them and then like ranks them and all this kind of stuff. It is so funny because half the time like the photo looks fantastic and then like he gets a thing in the mail and it's like this little plastic piece of crap that looks nothing like the photos. Or like there was one time he ordered something and he got a fan. He got like an Oriental like fold out fan thing instead of like some sort of drill. It's funny, but he's doubled down on that. I think he's done. What, Derek, have you seen him?
Yeah, he just put one out recently, another one to that one. I think he said that he's done 2 of them like that, and he did another one in the same vein.
Yeah.
So I think there's 3 in that vein.
But they've been working great, and it's like it's probably something very fun for him. So like, why would you not double down on that? I think it's just like a fun trend, and I've considered doing something similar, but I was like, I don't know if it would just look like a straight ripoff, or like how could I make my own interesting take on something like that?
I think Brad Rodriguez from Fix This Build That, he did one where he's buying woodworking tools on AliExpress. So
you're right.
Like, he did one where it was like all like drill attachments. Like he got a Sawzall that like hooks up to your drill and a set of nibblers that hook up to your drill. So I mean, there's room to kind of innovate within it, but take some inspiration from that.
Fair. Can you guys got one? If you don't, it's okay. It happens.
I don't think I would ever do this, but one format that I like is just it's super played out, I guess, now at this point, but reaction videos. So like reacting to like viral woodworking trends and stuff like that. Like speaking of John Malecki, he did a video like that. So yeah. I see your hand up, Morley. You got something?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I don't know if you guys do that, but we see it on my
you're
podcast.
good.
Yeah, no, I actually filmed one of those.
Oh, okay.
So one funny thing with the palette videos is I get a lot of conspiracy theories in my comments of people saying it's a fake palette, or they can tell it's fake because of this specific frame, or the buyer was set up. And I thought it'd be fun to make like a reacting to the most ridiculous comments in my comment section. So I had Eden, my fiance, go through those videos and find some like key comments for me to react to. Right. And we sat down right here, and she read them and I reacted to them, and I edited. So right after we started filming, she turns to me and she goes, "I don't think you should post that." And I was like, "Why not? I thought that was really fun." She's like, "You got really defensive, and I just don't think that's how you want to show yourself online." I was like, "Wow, that's really interesting." I didn't even feel that in the moment, but she, as like a third person, could tell.
Yeah.
Did you watch the footage back?
Yeah, and then I watched it. I was like, "Yeah, she's right. This is bad." I've actually,
you need somebody like that.
Totally, yeah, and that's like, I think one of the biggest disadvantages of an independent YouTuber is doing everything by yourself. The more you can get a little bit of input from people, I mean, it definitely helps. I've actually been throwing videos out more and more recently. I recently abandoned 2 projects that I put a lot of work into just because I was like, I don't like it. Like there's other stuff I want to work on. I only have so much time. Let's go on to the next one. This is not what I want to be doing.
You know what? I actually, as you were saying that, I was like, that's crazy. But then I was like, no, wait a minute. You have a record player downstairs that you built that you never posted. I got a couple other ones too that I never posted. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. I might go back to them, but like right now it's like, I think my best videos have been things that were spark of the moment. Like, oh, I want to do that. And then I start working on it the same day. And if things draw out for too long, I lose interest and things get too all over the place. Like, and I'm going through footage that I filmed months ago. I was like, I want to like edit as I'm filming. And that for me is really fun.
That's how I do. Like I will, like just this morning I was working on some stuff because I still work the day job. So like I will, log in my work computer, do some stuff. And then when I have a little bit of free time, like between meetings or whatever, I might go out in the garage for 20 minutes or whatever, film a couple clips, and I immediately come in, put on my laptop, like chop out the beginning, chop out the end, get it kind of roughly edited. And now the next time I go back out, like I'm just ready to tack on 4 or 5 more clips to the end. So I can like roughly edit and stay editing very, very close to when I shot the stuff. So then I could play the video in fast speed, and it pretty much already has a story arc or a timeline without me really having to do a whole hell of a lot.
That's interesting. I almost never do that. I go full tilt. I'll work like 3-4 days in a row to get the project done and just be filming the whole time. And then when I'm done, I'll sit down, dump all the footage out and start playing around with it. It gets overwhelming because you sit down and you're like, oh, I have 3 hours of footage that I have to chop down into 20 minutes.
Right. And I think for me, because I work so sporadically, it's like back, forth between the 2 jobs. That's like, it works well for me. It's how I like prevent myself from getting overwhelmed, I guess.
Totally. Yeah.
It is what it is.
To answer your question about trends.
Yeah.
So I recently took up a new hobby of learning how to DJ. And one of the reasons is because this year I got really into Boiler Room sets on YouTube. So for those who don't know, Boiler Room is a long-standing YouTube channel where they do like live streams of DJ sets. And they're crazy because there's people all around the DJ, and it's basically like a big party. And this one artist in particular, Kenny Beats, he has 2 Boiler Room sets that I must have listened to like 200 times because it was like my go-to pump up music. He's a hip hop producer, and he did all these like hip hop mixes. And so I'm learning right now. I just got some nice new Pioneer speakers that are on either side of my computer right now. So nice. I fantasize that like one day I'll get good enough to maybe put some streams on YouTube or like show up at a club in Toronto and see if they'll let me DJ.
Well, if you do, let me know. I'll come by.
Have you thought about like creating your own music for your videos and stuff?
Not at this point, no. Like for now, I'm really just trying to. I see because I love like making playlists, and when I'm running and listening to music, I'll just be like, what would be the perfect song to go right after that? And like I played music through a lot of my childhood. I not as much these days, and I love music. But right now, what I'm just like excited about is like creating that atmosphere and creating those transitions.
Right.
Sick. Do you ever think you'll do any?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Eric.
No, you go.
Okay. I was gonna say, do you ever think you'll do any building projects that relate to music, like making like the ultimate like DJ table or something like that?
I'm sure it'll happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I look forward to that.
And the best part about something like that is like you can be like, all right, I'm gonna make or make this soundboard or whatever, and have like all of my mixing equipment, and then you'll get people hop in the comments like, I've been producing music for 317 years, and this is not how you do it. Like you'll always get people so fired up about stuff like that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I love those comments. I've been a professional furniture builder for 96 years. I'm like, and you're on YouTube? Why are you watching? Why are you watching videos about how to build furniture if you've been a professional for 96 years? Like that's like a waste of your time.
This has happened to me a few times where I've done like some video about like, like entry level, like I did that one about like how to like caulk in your bathtub.
Oh yeah.
And I had these people commenting on it, and they're like, yeah, I've been like, a commercial caulker for 20 years. I was like, why would you then go to watch that video in the first place? I was like, oh, you went to it because you were looking to find something wrong so that you could like demonstrate your knowledge. So
right.
It's kind of interesting. You got to get in the mindset of people.
Want to feel superior.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh. So I know you guys are tech people. So I gotta ask, the new, I guess it makes me seem old. The AI stuff that's coming out. We have these chat bots. We have these like, I saw one of like, it was on Instagram or something today. It was like, I made AI create a like beer commercial, and it was all like the most generic stuff, or like there are people in a backyard like laughing, and then like all this kind of stuff. How do you guys imagine AI is going to affect what we do? Like, do you think we're going to get to the point where there's AI has the ability to basically make YouTube videos without any like creator input?
I think we're a ways away from that, but
yeah,
possibly.
Maybe it'll happen eventually, but I don't know. There was this, Morley, maybe you'll know about this. There was this rapper back in the day, MF Doom. And
yes.
Yeah. And
I love MF Doom. All right.
I know, I do too. I was a big MF Doom fan. And he got busted back in the day for hiring a guy because MF Doom, for people who don't know, his whole thing is he would perform while wearing this like metal mask that covered his entire face.
Okay.
So basically he hired a guy to go around and do his shows for him and lip sync to the music while wearing this metal mask.
Really?
And people were pissed off about it, and I think rightfully so. But I kind of wonder if that's something that is going to happen with AI. Like maybe at some point they'll be like, okay, AI can make, some approximation of a YouTube video. But the fact that that AI made it kind of takes some of the magic out of it. It's not like a real creator on the other side of it. It's just some like, algorithmically generated piece of content might kind of kill it for a lot of people.
So I have seen it work in some contexts. So the main one I can think of is I was on TikTok and I saw this history TikTok that was talking about like why 576 was like the worst year in human history. It was the Black Plague or something. And the voice was clearly an AI voice. And I think all of the images were AI generated. So imagine it's like, this is why 576 was the worst year in the world. There was globally like 20 million people died, 5% of the world's population. And it was telling all these stories. And then every still was like this really detailed paint. It looked like a painting of historical events that could have been real, but I'm pretty sure they were all AI generated. And it was very effective because it like it told the story visually well. It felt very inhuman, but I watched it and I learned something, assuming it was true.
Yeah.
Did it have the feel of like, have you ever, I'm sure you guys have run across thing where you're like trying to be like, okay, I want to know like the best kitchen spatula. So you type in like best kitchen spatulas and they're like, oh, cool. There's a video that's a minute and a half. And it's one of those like, in 2022, the best kitchen spatula. You know what I mean? It's like the very like
The top
robotic
10s.
voice, and you're like, oh, they
No,
definitely typed
this was
out.
good. It was, I mean, natural language processing is I think one of the fastest developing parts of AI. I mean, honestly, like not to be a downer, but I think it will probably get to a scary level unless some regulations are put in place to stop it, because human beings respond to incentives. And if there's money to be made, then people are going to ruin the world.
I just opened up another browser window with ChatGPT open, and I said, what was the worst year in human history? So it's thinking right now. Let's see what it comes back with. Because I'm curious, like you're saying, okay, it's an AI voice and it's AI generated imagery, but was it a human made script and they just used it to kind of fill in? Like, is there still some human creativity in there, or was it literally just, somebody thought of a writing prompt and let ChatGPT go nuts with it? Because I don't know. I'm kind of the mind that, AI and all these natural language models and whatever, it's going to be like other forms of technology where it's used to enhance human creativity. Like it's a tool that we'll use in ways, and it won't really be able to do anything super well on its own. But when used when a talented human knows how to use it, it can really unlock some magic.
Yeah.
It's still thinking forever.
I think it was on Steve Ramsey's podcast. He was talking about the AI and everything, and they were saying they were equating it now to like whenever photography first came out and how painters got upset and said that was going to ruin art with photography. Because if you can just point and take a picture of it, it's not the same. And they were all worried they were going to be out of a job. Yeah. And here we are.
But now we have the profession of photography, especially, and we have,
now we have.
And exactly. And we also have digital photography, which people thought was going to ruin print, but it's almost become this other medium now where people are going in and doing like, you take a picture of a building and they'll be like, oh, it'd be nice if there was a plane there. And then you just digitally impose a plane on. Yeah. So it's,
Do you think it's just going to push creatives like ourselves to find new and novel ways to just come up with what's next, what's new?
I'm hopeful anyways. That's my rosy view of the future.
I mean, I can think of a lot of tasks that I would love for an assistant or an AI to do. I have this ongoing project of like cataloging my music that I use in my videos, and while you can build playlists in Epidemic Sound, I just haven't gone through it. I haven't done that in the past, so I've sort of screwed myself now.
Right.
And just it's grunt work of going through and like I list the songs that I use in the videos, but I also want to like categorize them internally of like, this is a good song while speaking. This song feels like a moment of victory is about to happen.
Right.
The tags, not all of which exist on Epidemic Sound.
Yes.
And honestly, I probably, I could probably do that now. Like, I think I could write a ChatGPT prompt that would do that.
Yeah. I think Eric has talked about this in the past, like just limiting down to like your like 5 to 10 songs that you just use in every video.
Right. Ryan Trahan does that really well. Do you guys know Ryan Trahan?
No, I don't.
Don't.
Oh man, we're talking about trends. Ryan Trahan is like my current YouTube idol. He's so fun. He did the penny series last year of like trading a penny to travel across America in 30 days. It was a daily vlog for 30 days.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Tell me about that, Zach.
He's just like so fun on camera. He's really funny. He's very self-aware. He also does ad integrations incredibly well. Like he just does not feel forced in any way, even if it is like a very big corporation. Where was I going with this? Oh yes. Ryan Trahan uses like the same music in all of his videos and it feels very good. And even though I look up to him, I'm still finding new music for all of my videos. Like it's kind of like we were saying before, you can only do so much inspired by other people, but you're always going to have your own little particularities.
Right.
I'm the same way. I new music for basically every song. I don't know if I've ever reused a song. If I did it unintentionally.
I'm just so like I don't really reuse a lot of the same music because a lot of times I just go on Epidemic Sound. I click through. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fine. All right, I'll download that one. No. And I don't like build a playlist or anything. Like that's just kind of how I get my songs. And mine are usually at like negative 40 decibels. So it's like barely audible, just enough. So if like I stop talking for a second, it's just not like crickets. But
just laying it
probably
down.
don't even notice the music in my videos.
No, I don't.
Right.
Yes, I was watching your latest one the other day, and I don't think I even noticed the music
There's
at all.
music in there, I promise. But yeah, it's mostly just because I don't shut up. I just keep talking, talk.
Yeah, knowing when to stop talking is a little bit of an art.
I know.
It's tough because, like, I think we saw a Cam from Blacktail saying he basically just talk the whole way through and never stops.
Right.
And that's like his formula because it's, you never give the audience a chance to tune out. But I'm like, man, I got to give people a break from this nasally drone.
Yeah, you got the worst voice on YouTube, Zach.
I know. Trust me, the commenters always let me know.
You haven't given up looking at comments yet?
No, I still have fun with it. Honestly, the bad stuff rolls off my back. I don't let it bother me, and I really enjoy the positive comments.
That's fair. I mean, for me, if I'm having a bad day, YouTube comments is the last place I'm going.
Yeah.
But if
depends.
you're just looking to like see some funny stuff, then
Yeah.
I love going into the hidden folder on YouTube comments. Those are
Oh,
my
me too.
favorite.
That's the ones that are like held for review. Those are my
Right.
favorite. If you want to see some good conspiracy theories about you, that's the place where you look.
There's always some good ones. Real quick housekeeping. We've got we got a new patron this week. I forgot to. I'm gonna get this out of the way.
Okay.
We got a new caulker, a new top tier patron. We've got.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. Brooke Appler, which means that Brooke is getting their name added to our list of top tier patrons. So that means returning top tier patrons are Brooke Appler, Dadu, Luke Schmidt, Derek Jennings at Bacantry Designs, Corey Duvall, Jason Price at Priceless Pro Designs, Scott Eastman at Eastie's Woodshop, and of course the Power Cocker, formerly known as Wes.
I still crack up every time you read his name.
I know, it's pretty good. But those are all of our top tier patrons that are, some of the folks that are helping support the podcast, make sure that we can afford to pay millions of dollars to all of our guests and producers and everything like that. And they also get access to the after show and all kinds of fun stuff like that. But we want to get that out of the way. We're not trying to dismantle the entire show here.
Yeah. Morley, your appearance check is in the mail.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not subject to the influent tax. Which, speaking of that, so you work with Mark's team as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Zach, did you end up signing with him?
Yeah, I signed my contract yesterday. I still have to do all the onboarding stuff, which I haven't done yet. But
Right.
I'm all signed up. We're all on the same team, evidently.
Yeah.
Are you as well, Eric?
Yeah.
Wow.
It makes my life so much easier.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer. Well, it wasn't a no-brainer, but I'm really happy I did it.
Right. Yeah. It was definitely one of those things you have to think because, there is a percentage that, you have to pay, but it's so much easier than trying to navigate all that stuff myself. And were you in the same situation as me where the first deal you got from them, you were like, oh my gosh, I'm undercharging so much, or I was undercharging so much?
Yeah, it was kind of like that was a bit of a tiered or a gradual realization.
Right.
I had like a 6-month deal that I realized like my first sponsorship deal that I was way undercharging for. I would be surprised if any content creator, influencer actually gets what they're worth for their first deal. I feel like everyone has to have one bad deal to start out.
Yeah, no way, not at all. And for people at home who are confused, we're talking Influent is the what I guess are the agency that represents all three of
Yeah,
us. So
yeah.
they go out there, they try and get brand deals for us. They negotiate on our behalf.
They do
So,
like
yeah.
all the legal work and
Yes.
do all the talking, and they just sort of like, hey Zach, so and so wants to do a video in January for this amount of money. Do you want to do it?
Yes.
That's about all we say. Yes or no.
Yeah.
And
That's what they sold me on. They were like, "We'll do everything. It's just a binary decision for you. Yes, I want to do it, or no, I don't want to do it." And that's
Right.
it.
right.
We'll see.
I have a grievance to air in the after show about
Oh baby.
one that I took on, and it's not Influence fault. It's the it's a little bit of my fault and a little bit of the brand's fault. But we'll talk about that in the after show. So if you want to get some spicy airing of grievances, we will definitely be doing that in the after
That's
show.
right.
But Morley, what have you been working on recently? What's been exciting for you? Anything you care to share? Maybe a video that's halfway done or something?
Maybe a little teaser for the audience at home.
Yeah. The last 3 days, I got a couple really fun projects started. So a few months ago, I made a video about a woodworker who lives near me. His name is David Shaw, and he owns this woodworking shop called the Northern Joinery.
He sounds familiar.
They
Yeah,
build
it
these
does.
beautiful monumental tables, as well as other pieces of furniture. And I went to his shop with the notion of like, trying to even think about what the original video idea was. I wanted to sell something at the Makers Market that he owned. So he owned this Makers Market in Aurelia, and I had this idea of like, what is the economics of selling in a Makers Market where you basically sell in consignment or like you rent
Right.
space to sell something. I thought that'd be a fun video idea. But then I went to his shop and he told me about like the stuff that was in his wood shop was miles above what was in the showroom at the Makers Market. And he's like, oh yeah, like my main business is selling all these tables to Hollywood celebrities. They're not all Hollywood celebrities, but like that's what like a lot of his clientele is.
Right.
I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I want to make this video about you. My idea is not that interesting compared to what you're doing. So I made a video about him. We became friendly. And then at the end of that day, he invited me to come back in the future and like go through his scrap bin and make something out of his scraps. And because he makes such monumental pieces, his scraps are really big and beautiful. So I finally took him up on that a few days ago, and I got some like really nice pieces. I got this beautiful spalted maple cookie that I'm currently building a kerf bent base for, because the cookie's kind of like a crescent shape. And so I'm building this like very simple black crescent base that follows the shape, but like simplified, that I think will be really cool. And then I've also for a long time wanted to turn a free piano into something, because free pianos are all over Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and Kijiji.
Yeah.
Is it just because
and-
they're such a pain in the ass to move?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
A lot of houses come with them. Yeah.
Yeah, every single one will be like, free piano, you must take it away yourself. Like, we'll not deliver.
So I got one, and it was difficult to move. I got a friend who owns a power washing business to help me, and I know that he lifts a lot of heavy stuff by himself, so he was prepared for the task. But it wasn't a big piano, but it was still heavier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, pianos are...
How much are we talking? Like 500 pounds? Talking 1,500 pounds?
The only frame of reference I have is the guy we got it from guessed it was like 420 pounds, but I don't know.
Right.
So it says a grand piano typically weighs 650 to 850 pounds.
Okay. Did you get an upright or did you get a grand piano?
No, an upright, not a grand piano.
An upright,
hold on.
yeah. Shave a
so-
few pounds off for the upright.
Yeah, the idea is because like pianos are usually made out of solid hardwood, and so I want to see what I can find in there. I think this one might be walnut, because it's hard to tell because it's stained, but there's a plaque on it that says American Walnut Association. So
Cool.
I'll start knocking that apart soon and seeing what we got.
So are you going to are you gonna restore it as a piano, or are you just gonna harvest the wood from it?
No, I'm gonna harvest it. Actually, I almost got a different piano, but the listing was very specific that they wanted to give it to someone who would like play it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys do this, but sometimes I get forbidden ideas. I get an idea where I'm like, that's a fun idea, but I'm never gonna make that video. Like something that's really unethical. And so I was like, it would be funny in a terrible way to take that person's piano show in the video that they wanted to give it specifically to someone who would enjoy it, and then show myself destroying it. I was like, that would be so mean. But a certain person might make that video.
It's kind of like
funny.
sometimes I'll get these ideas of like, I kind of want to like poke at the viewers a little bit, like do something crazy, like get pallet wood that definitely has all sorts of just nasty stuff, like chemically treated, has like mold and stuff on it, and be like, I like make like a cutting board. Yeah, like a cutting board. And then tell people, be like, as long as it's in the sun for an hour, like it's okay. And like it's completely a joke. But I'm afraid that like if I do something like that, there are people who will actually do that. And I'm like,
oh, yeah, I never thought about that side of the
this is
equation.
a great idea.
Yeah.
But I get ideas like that. Maybe it's just because I'm mean. But Zach, you ever get any good ideas like that?
I have like all sorts of troll ideas that I often leave on the cutting room floor. I do like, I like the idea of trolling the kind of the more uptight viewer, but I try to appeal to the better part of my nature and just leave those ideas at the door.
The last one that I can think of that you did was when you were talking about like power tools and you kept on slamming rigid.
Oh,
I appreciated that.
Yeah. That was more of an inside joke for podcast listeners. And then there was another video recently where I said I used the most advanced joinery technique known to man, pocket holes.
Oh, yeah, I heard that one. Did you get any people get fired up about that?
You know what? Surprisingly not. I think most people got that it was a joke, but there was like 2 or 3 comments where people were like, did I just hear you right? And you said that pocket holes are the most, the strongest joinery technique known to man.
Like, oh yeah. They're strong as all get out.
Oh, yeah.
I am almost done with my latest build, which probably won't be out for,
a year,
year and a half. Morley, if you don't know this, I am a person who I get so far ahead on my videos that I have probably 6 to 8 videos that are already done that I just haven't put out yet.
Why?
It's because I'm like, okay, well, if I go on vacation or if I'm just really busy, like I want to have a video that's like ready to go. And then I can just kind of have like a slow, steady stream. And if there's some weeks I'm just like, I don't want to make any videos. I don't want to edit anything. I don't want to work on the business this week. And it kind of like gives me the room to breathe. So the running joke is...
That's very admirable. You're like a monk.
There was the one video, I think 2 videos ago that I put out was a dining room table. And I would always talk about it on the podcast. I'm like, oh yeah, the dining room table video. And everybody's like, I don't think it's real. I don't think you've actually built a dining room table.
Yeah, it's become a little bit of a running joke. And I think part of the reason you also wait sometimes is you just wait for sponsors. Like if you have a sponsor approach you like, hey, we need to do something by the end of the month. It's like, okay, right. I got a video ready to go, and they'll just throw it up. And yeah.
Because I've gotten one before where like, Mark sends a message. He's like, hey, I got this sponsor willing to do something. They need a turnaround in like 10 days. We're going to charge a premium. Can you get that? And I go, yes, I can. And it's awesome. Not an issue, which is it's nice. But at the same time, it's like then you put in this awkward situation where you put out a video and you're like, wait, in this video I have this tool or like this thing set up in my shop, but then this one I don't. But then I go back to having it, and you're like,
people don't care.
Yeah,
they don't care
about that stuff.
No, nobody notices. Or I'm wearing a winter coat in a video that comes out in July, and it's got like a snow hat on and boots, and you can see my breath. And it's like, dude, it's 100 degrees in Ohio right now. Like,
I was watching your latest video, and I did look at the comments, and somebody did point that out. They're like, why are you wearing a winter jacket in this video? But
God,
one person out of thousands.
The video that I just put out had to have been at least a year old.
Yeah, I could tell it was because your shop was like it was so empty. Like there was like nothing on the walls, like because you're building a clamp rack, but there was like it was so much cleaner than it normally is, or more sparse than it normally is.
Yeah. Cool, because there was no clamp rack up there.
Yeah,
but now there is.
Yeah,
but I don't even use that clamp rack anymore.
Yeah,
so that was a little awkward.
Oh well, what are you gonna do?
It is what it is. No one notices.
It's a nice little Easter egg for like the long-term viewer.
Right.
They'll be able to point out like all the inconsistencies. Like I had a fun time watching that video, being like, okay, he went back and he re-recorded this scene for the sponsorship. He re-recorded this scene for the sponsorship. Yeah, because it's in the background. It's like 80 shots.
Hey, it is what it is. You know.
Yeah.
That was I'm not doing that kind of integration again. That was a huge pain.
That looked like it took a fair bit of work. That looked like a pain in the ass.
Not doing it. I'm not doing
fair.
it. So, but I want to get that. I want to get more into that in the after show.
Okay. Okay.
Are we at an hour? We got to be close.
1:16. We might even be a little bit overtime.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. As always, we are going to head to the after show. We've got some questions and some grievances there, I would say, in the after show.
All right.
Oh, before we head over there, for anybody who's not joining us in the after show, Morley, tell people where they can find you. They can learn more about you and check out your stuff.
Do your plugs.
If you Google Morley Kert, I hope that I'm the first result.
Let's see.
I would assume so. It's not a super common name.
My grandfather might come up, like a book that someone wrote about him 80 years ago. But
what's
you're number one.
There we go. Google me, baby.
That name.
So yeah, named after my grandfather, who I don't know who he was named after, but his father or grandfather immigrated from somewhere in Eastern Europe, like Austria, Hungary, Russia area. Yeah, it's common among older Jewish men.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha,
Common-ish.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotta know this. What's the most common mispronunciation of your name?
It's not mispronounced very often. People misspell it really often. They'll go Morley. So yeah.
Okay.
If you're searching it, it's Morleykert. But when we went to Jamaica when I was a kid, everyone was really excited because they were like, "Oh, you're like Bob Marley."
You're like, I guess, kinda.
I was 5. I like the attention.
Right.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
You're like, do I get a popsicle?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Morley, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody go check him out. You're going to enjoy
Thank you very
his
much,
stuff.
Morley.
Very fun.
Thank you. I'm excited for this after show.
Yeah, we're going to head over to the after show. But if you're too cheap to go to the after show, we'll see you next week.
See everybody.
See everybody.
Later.